Something very interesting is going on with XRP, whether it's ETFs, inflows, supply shocks, or price movement, all is heading in one direction, and I believe that's up for the Q4 move. In this video, I want to break down some of the key things around ETFs, how a supply shock may be on its way, and who is investing big when it comes to XRP. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, let's get into it. Okay, I get it. It's hard work at the minute. Holding on to your XRP as well as the rest of your altcoin bags feels like the bad move. We should have sold them all and gone into stocks, or at least bought gold before we saw the capitulation that we've seen over the last couple of days. But what we do know, if you're an XRP holder, is we know how to hold. And actually, the fundamentals and core structure of what's going on at Ripple should give you some real optimism that actually this is a good coin to hold. Now, remember, this is never financial advice on the channel, just my opinion. But what is going on? What do we need to be aware of? Well, with Trump and China seemingly at head-to-head battles, there is a significant decline in the market, and there has been over the last couple of days. This all may be coming to an end, with Scott Bessent announcing that they have 2 days of fulsome talks with China and with the Chinese officials in Malaysia. Could this be the first part of fostering a good trade deal with the US? We know Donald Trump announcing today that he expects a good deal with China. And look, we've been talking about how that kind of plays out, specifically on the Bitcoin market, but XRP will be no other. We'll see that move as well as the rest of the altcoin market if a good deal can be made. We could even see zero tariffs, which has been floated before between the US and China. This would also be good news for the dollar and therefore good news for American citizens. Why? 33% of American citizens have more credit card debt than savings. You may ask yourself, why is this important to this XRP video? Well, we've been talking about how the whole economy right now is built upon debt. The US hitting a $38 trillion deficit, and more importantly, debt is just skyrocketing. And well, what's the hedge against it? Bitcoin and fundamentally XRP. And in fact, a new potential global payment system that we've talked about with XRP could support less cost. Remember, moving money around is not cheap when you're using fiat, but when you use XRP, it definitely could be cheaper. So when we think about what that looks like, there is a very interesting article from none other than Zach Reactor giving us his view on how the supply shock's going to come. Well, if you think about the fact that banks, financial markets, even just investors may be flocking back to this market very, very soon, well, the supply shock could absolutely be real. And that's before we even get into the whole ETF narrative. Zach Reactor saying when these ETFs go live, we're going to see inflows. With conservative assumptions on the inflows and simple maths on a multiplier, we can confirm that XRP is going to be much higher priced and that a supply shock will ensure this year unless the government shutdown extends until 2026. Now, we have just had another 12th vote for the US government, which was unfortunately unsuccessful. Therefore, the government does stay shut down. But again, this may just play favorably for a move to 2026 bull market cycle top. We expect predictions from JP Morgan to say $4 to $8 billion could be in the first year of these ETF inflows, with potentials of even $5 to $10 billion discussed at fund executives. Zach Reactor also gives his view that we could see anything between a $17 to $20 price point given the volume that could be heading into these XRP ETFs. And remember, they're going to hold XRP as one of the assets, which again is very important. To give you an idea of how big these ETFs could be, and more importantly, therefore, how it's going to influence the price, XRP right now is the third highest coin that has ETFs listed since 2024, Solana being the top at 23, followed by Bitcoin and then XRP in third place, 4 ahead of Ethereum. And well, the reality is that these could see significant inflows, and actually is the third highest. I think this is going to skyrocket and continue to build. And well, why are these important? We know recently we broke here on the channel that SPI Holdings, as well as many others, are now starting to fund that big Evernorth package. This will be done through SPAC and Pubco. Now, why is this important? Well, it was announced today, that the pursuant, which in this indication is SPI Holdings, will actually contribute 126,791,458 XRP tokens in exchange for company units. That is not all. Further to that, we actually had Gummy, which will invest in $70 million in XRP between September 2025 and February 2026. 2 massive investments, not only into ETFs, but into corporate entities that are going to be supporting the ecosystem of XRP. This will be building out for XRPL, and more importantly, tokenization that we know is coming. With Ondo Finance and many others all integrating into the XRPL, this could be the catalyst that we need. With macro data, the economy starting to, well, get a little bit better. Trump tariffs hopefully wavering, and fingers crossed we get the war ended in the Ukraine. This could all play out to be very favorable to a back end of this market move. With Bitcoin expected to move back end of this year and maybe even a 2026 market cycle top, XRP is in prime position to, well, absolutely skyrocket. Remember, People generally miss the XRP move. Why? Because everyone's sidelined because they think nothing's happening. While at the same time, in the background, we know that Ripple have been working hard on the Evernorth partnership, Metaco, Hidden Road, and even Rail. And there is a debate right now whether XRP-L could be integrated with the Federal Reserve stablecoin payment rails, which could be incredibly bullish long-term for what's going on. So let me know what you guys think of all of this in the comments down below. It feels like there's some massive capital flowing into the market. And right now, maybe, just maybe, those diamond hands are going to be rewarded, especially when it comes to XRP. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.